Hello and welcome to In Focus. I'm G. Sampath. The atom bomb that Rahul Gandhi was talking about the last week has finally dropped.
We found that 1 lakh 250 votes were stolen. Now we're going to tell you.
Yesterday, at a press conference in Delhi, he gave a 1 hour long presentation where he showed, with slides and everything, how in one assembly segment, in one constituency, one Lok Sabha constituency, more than 1 lakh fake votes were cast.
1 lakh 250,000 stolen, election 1 in one assembly. Duplicate votes 11,965. Menu दे रहा हूँ ना आपको.
Mr. Gandhi said that he and his team in the Congress went through like 7 feet tall stacks of voter rolls data which were sourced from the Election Commission in hard copy format, and using their analysis of these voter rolls data, they identified 5 ways in which fake votes were allegedly cast. They spoke about duplicate votes, fake and invalid addresses, bulk voters in a single address, invalid photos, and misuse of Form 6 actually, to add so-called new voters. Mr. Gandhi has also alleged that this is just a model and it can be and has been replicated in elections across the country. Now, the Election Commission has responded by asking Mr. Gandhi to formally submit his charges under oath. So that's where things stand. So how credible are the charges made in this press conference? How do they tie in with what we know of the Election Commission and how it functions? To help us understand, we are joined today by Poonam Agarwal, an investigative journalist who has been tracking the Election Commission for a long time. She's one of the reporters who broke the stories on the electoral bonds issue as well. And she's the author of the book, India Inked: Elections in the World's Largest Democracy. Poonam, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Poonam, the Election Commission is a vast institution. It's an institution of great standing. It is a constitutional body. And so far as I know, people generally have a very high amount of faith in the Election Commission. I'm talking not just of people, but also political parties. But this time, the leader of the opposition has felt compelled to call a press conference that puts a big question mark on the credibility of the Election Commission. So, do you see, you've been tracking this beat for a very long time. Can you talk a little bit about the genesis of this shift from complete faith to a great degree of distrust that we seem to be finding with regard to the Election Commission as of today?
Sampath, see, my journey as far as the Election Commission and the entire story or the work around the Election Commission started in 2019. To be more precise, end of 2018. So the first story that I broke was on the EV votes polled and votes counted not matching. That was the story which I did in 2018 Assembly elections of Madhya Pradesh. And then as I was following the story in 2019, I found the same thing. And the story was about the discrepancies in votes polled and counted data. There was a surplus and deficit. So when I did that story, first of all, I didn't get any response from the Election Commission on that. Rather, they pulled down the votes poll data which they were uploading. So secondly, what I saw that during that period, in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, there was a lot of faith among political parties on Election Commission. Whenever I spoke to them, they said that, no, we really trust them. That's a constitutional body. They are supposed to conduct elections free and fair manner. So that was the approach of the political parties. But what we see today, after Lok Sabha 2024, is completely different. There's a lot of distrust, not just among people, but among political parties. And this press conference that the leader of opposition did yesterday, I think it's first ever in the history. I don't recall any press conference by the opposition party where they are making allegations against the Election Commission for fudging voters' data. So this itself shows that there must be some reason why the team, Rahul Gandhi's team, went into the data and did data analysis or data crunching for the past 6 months of a particular assembly constituency. There must be some reason. And what I understand that in Lok Sabha election 2024, when I talk about why there was a distrust. If you remember, there was a lot of conversation regarding votes poll data, why it is not being made public. There's a lot of hue and cry for longest period. I would say for at least 5 to 6 phases, Election Commission did not share that data.
Yeah, on this, I'm just curious. What has been the Election Commission's reason or justification for not providing these two, for not acceding to these two simple requests? One, share machine readable electronic data of the voter rolls, okay, which is what Mr. Gandhi has been asking. Second, share the CCTV footage of the polling booth to see what happens after 5 p.m. or whatever he's been saying. What has been the norm or the precedent with regard to these two practices earlier, say before 2014 or whatever? And when did this change? Do you see any pattern in terms of when it changed? And what is the problem in sharing this?
See, as far as the change is concerned, we all know it happened this year when there was a law that not all data can be shared with the public, or even under the RTI. So the change is recent. When we talk about history in the past, what was the norm? I must say that as far as Election Commission is concerned, they have always been very quick in adapting technology. So if you read the handbooks of returning officers, it is clearly mentioned that anybody can ask for a copy of CD, which can comprise of the CCTV footage, for 300 rupees. So in the past, it was accessible even, whether you file an RTI or not. Otherwise also it was accessible. So accessibility was always there. What has changed now in 25 is something only government can say. See, again, we have to understand that Election Commission is the core of our democracy. They are the watchdogs. They are supposed to ensure that the elections are free and fair. And for that reason, they have to be transparent as much as they can, because we all are equally important stakeholders. Not sharing this data raises doubt. I would say that all questions would come to rest if Election Commission becomes more transparent. They start communicating more freely, frankly, and candidly. And when questions are asked, they should respond to that rather than brushing it aside.
Right. Okay. We will come to questions being asked in a little while, but I'm just curious in terms of the scale of what Mr. Gandhi has been saying. He says what happened in this Mahadevpura, or what sort of seems to have happened according to his data in this one assembly segment, is just a template. And he's suggesting that because the Election Commission is reluctant to share machine readable electronic data, it is indicating that this has happened elsewhere also, maybe probably across the country, because then if such data were made public, then anybody can actually verify if there are more fake addresses, if there are more bulk voters living in a single address. In other constituencies, it will be easier to check that. But by denying this, it is not possible to verify, and therefore you are getting distrust, you are getting doubts and so on. But my question is, even if we take what Mr. Gandhi says at face value, is it realistically feasible or technically possible, to pull off this kind of vote manipulation at scale, given that Election Commission, it's a huge institution. There are thousands of polling officers, electoral registration officers all over the country. I mean, are we supposed to infer that they are all compromised and so on? Like, that seems very difficult to believe.
Actually, very good question. This is one question, as a journalist also, I always had in my mind, and experts who I spoke to, that how is it possible such a big institution with so many people who are engaged in the Election Commission? So let me answer it in a way that is on record, because let's go by facts. The structure of the Election Commission and the website says, and I'll read it from there, the Commission has a separate secretariat at New Delhi consisting of about 550 officials in a hierarchical setup. So technically it speaks about how many people are here, 550 people, like Chief Election Commissioner, then we have Election Commissioner, and then below them all the officers are there, so total here. But what is interesting to know is the CEO. Now, who are the CEO? CEO are the people who are...
Each state has a CEO?
Yes, each state and UT has its own CEO. Delhi has its CEO, and like that, Karnataka has. So CEOs, they are called the Chief Electoral Officers. And I'll again read it. At the state level, the election work is supervised, subject to overall superintendent's direction control of the commission by the CEO of the state, who is appointed by the commission from amongst senior civil servants. from a panel of officers proposed by the concerned state government. So he is the most important officer of the state and is a full-timer. So now we know that they are the full-timer, the people who work here, and CEOs are the full-timer. Now, below them, there are joint secretaries and assistant CEOs. So all CEOs, they work from the state. I'll go to CEOs later, but let me answer who come after them. They are the people who work at district level, like district election officers, electoral registration officer, EROs. We are talking a lot about them because of the Bihar SIR, and returning officers. So they are not the full-timers. They are part-timers. They are primarily engaged during elections because the task...
So everybody from the district level onwards is a part-timer?
Yeah.
Part-timer?
Yeah.
So only the CEOs and above are full-timers, full-time
Yes.
employees?
So it says that during election time, however, they all perform their functions as in DEO, ERO, returning officer. So even in if I go a little further back, when the first election happened, Sukumar Sen, the Chief Election Commissioner, I've written in the book also, he engaged all these officers, civil servants and government officials during election. Otherwise, you don't have so much of work in election commission. Election commission role comes in during elections only. So that is why it is not a full-time job. Otherwise, it's a full-time job. So this is the engagement. Now, if I go further on the structure of the CEO, because they are the most important people who work on the state level and prepare the electoral roll. For instance, I take out from the Karnataka CEO, and you can show it in your video as well. So the structure goes: CEO has 2 additional CEOs. Then these
Just to sort of repeat, CEO stands for Chief Electoral Officer, not Chief Executive Officer.
No. Chief, yes. Chief Electoral Officer, who is the boss of the state, and he has 2 additional CEOs, and these additional CEOs have joint CEO, assistant CEO, and section officer. So maybe down that they have 4 or 5 people. Again, who prepares electoral roll, who does the EVM work, who is looking after the admin or accounts, it is again divided among these joint CEOs.
So there must be some kind of checks and balances to ensure that these individuals and officials are able to perform their tasks with integrity and so that there is this kind of manipulation will not be possible, right?
Of course, that's what we all assume and presume. That's all we can say, that yes, they should do the job with full integrity, honesty and transparently. That's what we want, of course. But when you ask the structure and the involvement of election commission in preparing this list or whatever, so I'm just giving you a structure and the full-time basis. Like a freelancer, like I'm a freelance journalist. If I write an article for Hindu, my job would be limited to that project. I would not know many things, how it works inside Hindu's office. So that's how it is. Like people come during elections and then...
So would you describe it as a very centralized body, or would you describe it as a decentralized body? Because that would sort of determine to what extent any kind of voter manipulation would be scalable. Because there has to be some method by which anyone, Mr. Gandhi used the word choreographer. How would you choreograph it with this kind of a structure is a question I guess we can't really have an answer to right now. We'll come back to this. One other aspect, Poonam, which many people have been saying is that EVMs are better than paper ballots because they make rigging impossible. Now, we have seen this Mahadevpura, there has been rigging as per the data Mr. Gandhi has shared. We will still call it an allegation. Now, how do we connect these allegations with EVM, VVPAT systems that are supposed to be fraud-proof?
Okay, so you have 2 questions technically. One you're connecting with PC, Rahul Gandhi's PC, and one you're asking whether EVM and VVPAT. See, the beauty of Indian election is that we have 2 votes. When we cast a vote, we have one electronic vote and one paper vote, which is VVPAT. Now we have a combination of both ballot and electronic vote. So since we have a combination of 2, why not to utilize both of them? I am not saying that EVM should go and I'm not saying VVPAT should go. I say that you use both of them. Use both of them in a way that you can verify both the votes before announcing the results. That is the way forward.
So we are not using both of them as of today.
We are not counting both of them.
We will counting VVPAT slips ensure that this kind of voter manipulation doesn't happen, or would it could be orchestrated independent of whether VVPAT
I would
slips
say
or...
it will just gain the trust of the voters. As simple as that. We are raising questions on EVM. Suppose people are raising, why don't you count and tally and cross-check and say that, okay, 50 votes went to BJP or Congress on EVM, 50 went to VVPAT also. We are tallying it and then announcing the result. See, the question is transparency. That's what people are...
But tallying would take a lot of time, right? I mean, it sort of extend.
Like, I see, again, I don't know, I'm no expert in saying how much time it will take. Earlier also, it used to take a lot of time when ballots were there. Weren't we ready for that? And even if it takes 6 days to announce a result, are you in rush? I'm not in rush. You take 6 days, but the counting should be robust. Whatever you announce as a result should be robust and accurate and transparent. That's what we are looking for. There's no rush. I don't want the result by 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's okay.
Right. Poonam, Mr. Gandhi also spoke about this phenomenon of stretching an election for weeks and weeks through multiple phases, 7 phases. Whereas even during the time of paper ballot, we've had instances where an entire election was finished in one day. So he says this is grounds for again suspecting, what is actually going on, if there is some kind of voter manipulation happening, because some persons connected from the opposition parties have hinted that these multiple phases enable voter manipulation by allowing party workers to go from one place to another, giving them time and to go and cast multiple votes and so on. So what is your take on these multiple phases of elections? Is it like a requirement, or is there some kind of a pattern or history that you've seen over the years? How do you understand this?
Well, there have been questions on the extent of time given in 7 phases and where it is not required. These are the questions raised by the experts. Now, what is the reason behind it is just an allegation. We don't have any documentary proof to explain this or even to, make such allegation. I think it's a total political allegation which he's making, and he has some basis, if at all he has. I do not know about it. But this is something we cannot really say with any documentary proof that, yes, this is not the right way to do it.
Right. Also, during the Lok Sabha elections, last year, you may remember there was a controversy over delays in publishing, Election Commission publishing polling data. And in the light of what sort of evidence we saw in the press conference yesterday, how would you make sense of those delays in publishing polling data? Because a lot of it is to do with data.
Yes. So if you remember, I did a story on the votes polled, EVM votes polled, data released by EC did not match with the votes counted, EVM votes counted data released by EC this time. It did not match. It matched only in like 4-5 parliamentary constituencies, if I remember correctly. Do we have any answer to that? Till date, we do not have any answer. ADR, Association for Democratic Reform, they did a press conference. They wrote letters to the Election Commission. Nothing. So the question is why? Of course, they should make it public. What's the problem in making votes poll data public? If you can release the percentage real time, you can very well release the final data maybe the next day, because they have to document it. They have to fill the form 17C, which is given to all the agents, and that comprises of votes poll data as in an absolute number, not the...
But the Election Commission has said that we will give Form 17C to whoever...
agents.
Yes. To
Why
the
can't
agents.
they put it for the public?
Are they required to put it on the website to the public?
The questions are raised, why not do it? It's in the court right now. The matter is in the court, the petition. We are demanding...
But was it shared, made public earlier? Or is it...
It used to be. I just spoke about 2019 election.
So in 2019, this Form 17 was...
Not Form 17, but they used to... in fact, Form 17C was also made public by many states then. Okay. In 19, they made the absolute number public of the votes polled. So why not now?
Okay. So in terms of the legal statutes that we have, assuming these allegations are, at some point, they are investigated and there is some merit in this. Is it, and Mr. Gandhi has also been telling, he's been threatening polling officers, I will not leave you, you can't escape. Yeah. So is there any provision actually in our law books for punishing whoever is sort of accountable for this kind of vote manipulation? Do we have anything on the law books for?
Are you talking about the under oath that?
Not under oath. I mean, if some polling officer is found at a future date to be colluding in this kind of alleged voter fraud, going ahead with duplicate votes, bulk voters in one address, and you are able to pin responsibility.
Yeah.
What kind of punishment would that person be?
Well, recently you must have seen in West Bengal, Election Commission actually got hold of two people who were working on the electoral data, the 2 or 3 officers, if I'm not mistaken. So they were suspended. The actions, they can be, Election Commission can definitely take action against them. And, whatever actions are required. It's not that you are above the law. So the point is that you have to know who are doing it. So that is the whole thing. And there is, in West Bengal, we have seen in the past also, there have been instances where polling agents, not polling agents, but the election officers who were part of this entire process, they are being held accountable for the misuse of their power.
One of the things we are hearing now, since yesterday, in fact, is that it is precisely to avoid this kind of voter manipulation and fake voters, duplicate voters, invalid addresses, etc. It is for that reason that we need an exercise like the special intensive revision, which is happening in Bihar. So it's become a justification for the Bihar SIR. So do you think an SIR would make a difference? Would it help? What is your understanding?
See, again, Bihar SIR, what we know of is that there are 2 problems primarily: the documents, 11 documents, citizenship proof, and the time. Nobody is questioning the fact that a voter should be the citizen of India. But at the same time, the process itself is something impossible, and that too in short period. Everybody is questioning that. You can conduct SIR if you want to, but let people have one document of Indian citizenship, a proof, a national document. Right now you're saying you won't accept Aadhaar, and the 11 documents that you're mentioning, all those documents would need Aadhaar in some way or the other, like passport or anything. So when you're talking about a document, you first have to make one to let people have it and then give it to you. So you conduct it, but right now it's like what you're doing is a complete mess. And then on top of that, there's so many questions being raised, like you're not sharing the data of 65 lakh voters, giving the reason, as in they've given the names, but you have not given the
65 lakh voters whose names are deleted.
Removed from the voter list. They don't exist in the draft roll. Yes.
Yeah, on this question of deletion, Poonam, there was just a statement by Mr. Kapil Sibal, who has been involved in many of these litigations around the election commission matters.
Lawyers,
yeah. So he has said that in the aftermath of the press conference yesterday, he says there are 3 patterns one could see. In Maharashtra, there was voter addition. In Karnataka and Delhi, there was voter manipulation, and in Bihar, it's going to be voter deletion. Those are his words. So, what are your thoughts on this? Is that how one is supposed to sort of make sense of different ways in which the process is getting compromised?
That's Mr. Sibal has spoken about. He has his own way to explain. Of course, that's what the Congress party has claimed. In Maharashtra, names were added. And in this press conference, they have spoken about manipulation. And then, of course, Bihar SI. See, it's not just about deletion. It's also about whose name have been deleted. That's also there. What we are forgetting is that these are just not the numbers. These are faces. These are human beings. 65 lakh voters are human beings. We have to understand the plight they are going through. It's just not about the voting rights. Now, it is also there in the notification of EC, if you see that the election officer can refer the person to the foreign tribunal. If there is any suspicion about the person.
Under which regulation? Is there an election commission rule?
Well, they can. Anybody can refer anybody to FT on the basis of suspicion, but they have to have some ground. But the point here is that they have the power. The BLOs, the EROs, they have the power.
But where was due process followed in deletion? Like anybody can go and say...
That is what exactly we are asking for. As by we, I mean people. If I do not know that my name is deleted because they think I am dead, how will I claim? I need to know that. And until unless, firstly, they have only shared the name of 65 lakh voters with the political parties, they have not put out in the public domain. One. Secondly, whatever data is there, we do not know the reason. If we do not know the reason, how are we going to go and talk to BLOs? So it's a process. Again, I come back to the same thing, transparency. The problem is transparency. Even the petitioners, they went for an urgent intervention in the Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court on Wednesday, they said that please give a detailed response to this by 9th of August, which is tomorrow. Now, the fact is that if we have to, as in people or the petitioner or the civil society members, they have to rush to the Supreme Court for everything. That raises question on election commission. We have to go to the Supreme Court because they are not cooperating. What is the problem? Sampath, just simple thing. What is the problem in sharing the name of the people?
So, when you are saying that for everything going to the Supreme Court is not really the answer, but then Mr. Gandhi has shown that according to his analysis, the Election Commission has been colluding with a political party. Now, how can you go back to this kind of an institution and expect that whatever your allegations are, which happen to be against this very institution, this institution will investigate and redress your grievances? Is that something realistically one can expect? Of course, it's a big question. So I'm just trying to understand finally, like, what is the road back to accountability here? We have all these things in the public domain. Let's take just one constituency, Mahadevapuram. What is the road? Is there a roadmap towards accountability for this, either through the Election Commission or through the Supreme Court or through something else? Because what happens to, how do you then view the next election which is going to happen in these constituencies? Because you need accountability for that.
See, accountability is everybody is looking for right now. And just want to say that after this press conference, what we have seen is that the leader of opposition has come up with granular details. He's just not talking about something. He speaks about facts with documents, 6 months of work, whatever that team has done. Now, Election Commission should respond to it in a way that, okay, there could be two answers. If you make any allegation against me, I'll say, no, you're lying, and I have the facts, this is the fact. And either or else I'll say, no, okay, fine, whatever you're saying, I'll look into it. So neither of these two have really happened from the Election Commission side. Either they say no, rebut. Election Commission should rebut point-wise, 5 points. Say no, Rahul Gandhi has said, whatever he has said is incorrect. These are the facts. Rebut it. Or tell Rahul Gandhi and the team or whatever leader of opposition that we will look into the matter, give us the details and we will rectify it. So accountability is, of course, it is Election Commission's job. And to be honest, after the press conference, even I went through Karnataka electoral roll and I actually found house number 0 in many, not just Mahadevpura.
Now, just wondering, I don't mean to be flippant here. You mentioned earlier that those voters, the real people whose names were missing or deleted, they can go and file claims and objections. Now, if I was Shakun Rani or if I was Aditya Srivastav or Gurkirat Dang, can I go and say, listen, I'm one person, I'm not 4 people, I don't live in 4 states, this is a problem and my photo is being misused. Can I go and make a sort of initiate some kind of a legal process and through that sort of ensure accountability, or this is like expecting... I don't know, you're laughing.
No, I'm not laughing. Actually,
I mean, if I was Shakun Rani, I would be seriously upset.
See, now, what is very interesting, now that yesterday after the press conference, I'm into investigation for years now. So my investigative head was saying, why couldn't they go a step forward, ahead? Okay, they found the place and people and everything, but they should have contacted these people, 1 lakh out of 1 lakh, at least 100. And you never know, these people could be victims. And they have no idea that their documents have been forged. Shakun Rani or Aditya, whatever. And they might have come forward and say, no, we have no clue what Election Commission is doing. They should have brought faces. What is missing in this entire thing is, Sampath, faces. Voters are not numbers. It's just not data.
So you would have liked Mr. Gandhi to sort of get Shakun Rani on stage.
Yeah. or or anybody,
Pin
his
us down,
team.
maybe.
Yeah, the ground. In fact, many can say that it's your job as a journalist. Go and do the job. I agree. Journalists should do it, and I hope somebody is doing it. But bring people on stage, maybe 10 of them, that these are the people who are not even aware of that their data has been used, misused, or whatever. You need to bring faces. Voters are the sufferer. In all this conversation, what we miss is the voter are the sufferers. People are suffering. It's people's crisis. It's not political parties' crisis. Rahul Gandhi's name will always be there in the voter list. Tejasvi Yadav's name will always be there in the voter list. Who are at the, at the edge? We, as in voter, our names might get deleted. We will suffer. And right now on ground, if you see Bihar, people of Bihar are suffering. So that is what I meant, that it's just not data. Let's not just take it as data. 1 lakh voters are 1 lakh people.
Right, that's a point well taken. Poonam, the Election Commission has said Rahul Gandhi should make these allegations under oath. Now, what is wrong in doing that? I mean, why is he not doing that? Should he not then take that as the next step to ensure that this goes forward?
So, see, after this entire tweet and the press release, I read it and I did a little bit of research. So, the the rule, under Rule 23B of Registration of Electors Rules 1960. What does it say? This is the rule under which they want him to write an under oath letter. Now, this particular Rule 20 of this registration rule is inquiry into claims and objections. Now, it says that the registration officer shall hold a summary inquiry into every claim or objection in respect of which notice has been given under Rule 90. So, right now, what claim and objection is going on in Bihar?
He's alleging something which is sort of happening at a mass level, institutional level, so to speak. So, what would it really mean? Claims and objections for 1 lakh voters? 1 lakh claims and objections, Mr. One leader of opposition will file.
I just read. See, this is what I understand if you go by the rule. So, if this is the rule they're claiming, so he has made claim on 1 lakh voters, 1 lakh plus voters. Now, he needs to give under oath that this 1 lakh 250 whatever voters, they were wrongly included and provide the documents. That's what it means if you go by Rule 20. Now, the point again is, does he really need to do it? He let people decide. He has already done press conference and put everything in public domain technically, not everything but the details. Now, does he really need to do this under oath or not is something maybe people can decide on their own. So this is what the rule says. Now, I leave it to the people to decide on this.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's clearly there is a big crisis with regard to credibility of our electoral process, and hopefully things will move in a positive direction for the people, as you put it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sampath, for having me here.